Hi, this is Phil Bratton. I'm doing my speech today, my civic speech on Washington Township levy. So I'll introduce my audience, Terry Likens, Mr. Scott Crotty, and Scott Euler behind camera. Okay, so today's speech is going to be about a recent 4.65 mil levy that Washington Township, which is the township I live in, that they put on the ballot on May 7th to increase funding for the fire department and EMT services in our area. A lot of people complaining about any rise in cost, right? Because it adds to property taxes and it's a little bit more money out of everybody's pocket. I would argue that in this one case, it's actually worthy of the money that we're going to spend. It averages out to be about $50 a year for someone who has $100,000 in value in property. So not a lot. It's actually a replacement levy for a levy that was already in place over the last 15 years. So a couple of things that I wanted to go over. One is just to kind of give you scope. Over the last 20 years, from 1991 to 2011, the actual requirement for response, the need for people to have emergency responders come out and report, has increased by 168%. The actual population growth in our township has only increased 22% in the same time frame. And the reality is that all of this was accomplished, 168% growth in response, at no additional cost in that same time frame. So over 20 years, the fire department and the EMT staff have been able to keep the township safe and protected over the last 20 years at no additional cost. So we had a levy in place, but those costs didn't increase in that same time frame. So I guess there's a number of things that they've tried to do. We had a lot of volunteer firefighters before and EMT. As this response has increased, the need for responses has increased. The only way that the township's been able to meet it is by bringing full-time people on. The economy's worse, so people don't have as much time to volunteer and donate time because they need to be out getting real paid jobs. To have full-time response that can get to people quick enough, maintain that response time, you got to have people that are in-house on a time, so it costs more money, it's premium, and the current budget, or the budget we've had in the last 20 years, doesn't suffice. So actually, one point is Washington Township is actually rated in the top 3% in the country for fire suppression and protection. So if we want to stay safe and keep our kids safe and keep our neighborhoods safe, that happens at a cost. These kind of trends don't last forever. I mean, no one's doing anything cheaper and doing more forever. You reach some point of diminishing returns where it's just not capable, and something goes by the wayside. My argument would be that safety for a family in our neighborhood can't afford it. A couple other facts. Washington Township Fire Department protects more taxable property than any other area in Montgomery County, which is a very large county that we all live in. The other thing is, they're not just, they being the township, they're not just asking for money flat out and just always wanting to go back into your purse and pay more taxes every year. Again, it's been 20 years. The increase in service needs has gone up tenfold, and they're just now asking for money. They've also sought on their own a $300,000 federal grant to replace a fire engine. Doing that allows them not to be in a position to have to be asking for a higher levy than they are today. The other thing is that they've proactively gone to insurance companies in the area, and they are pushing these insurance companies to foot the bill of a lot of the premiums of the cost of bringing people out to treat a fire when the insurance should be covering it. That 10.7% came straight off the budget that is projected to be good over the next 5 years. So there's a lot of things that they're proactively doing to manage their budgets, unlike many other places that constantly are falling out of their budgets and mismanaging their finances, when that's really the root cause that's driving them to have to come back and ask for new levies all the time. Washington Township, the government, the fire department and the emergency response teams have done a very good job, very admirable job in spreading that dollar as much as they can, and also about seeking other dollars outside of, you know, the township where they can to get it support to minimize the cost. You know, I think the biggest thing is the continued focus on cost management and the increase in service level. At some point, like I said, when you reach those diminishing returns, you as a community, as a group, you have to make the decision what's more important. The levy is estimated to support growth and get us where we need to be so we can maintain service levels again, and should be good for the next 5 years at no additional cost. And again, you know, it's pretty significant, the fact that it's a first request and an increase in millage in over 20 years. In summary, I think the biggest thing is it's coming down to the protection and the safety of the township, everybody that lives in it. You know, we all work very hard to bring food to the table and to have a roof over our heads. None of that's good if we ever have an emergency and no one's there to respond. I think we're very lucky that we live in an area where fire and EMT response is as near immediate as possible, and you know, it's one very big benefit of where we live and the reason really why I will stay, and it will be the reason that I will vote yes for the levy. Being a tax-paying citizen, it will foot some of that bill. It's just, if there's an area to skip in your life, you know, you can cut on groceries, you can cut coupons, but you don't cut on safety. It's not worth it, the impact it has to your neighborhood and for your family. So that's the end of my speech. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them on the forums, and I'll do my best to answer them. I'll go ahead and introduce my crowd again here. Once again, there's Terry Likens, Scott Crotty, and Scott Boiler. Thank you.